Hey guys, how you all doing? Welcome to the latest from the review. I do hope you're well. I'm going to start with light language. I'm having a bit of trouble speaking at the moment, but what we'll do is we'll run a level 3. Here we go. Take a deep breath. Ilia sala holoholia soalie. And that's Zep Tepi forming before 0 mind samene. Miasasu ni hinoma. Vayuse si hanomanane. Okay. So it looks like lower Zep, doesn't it? Okay. Disseminant view, and the consideration of our knowing would be that we require and identify with only, and it is. I'm forming with Ra as we speak, and it's a wonderful feeling, very intense as always, but we love it more, and it is very natural to us, and so it is that we become, and what a beautiful feeling it is. Dianosa si hanomanada hariato ono sukoyato K. So what we're doing is we're releasing the sphere at level 2. So platonic solids are moving through deus and night. So what they're trying to do is challenge the authority of the opinion by presenting as the equivalent tone of Siradi, which is very dangerous. This is when people try to make out you insane and then try to challenge your viewpoint again. And I'm always challenging. If it is you see me and I become, I will not. Present as I will and show you more. Always use your mobile phone. And if it is you're walking time fields, and some of you are, just like me, and it's very natural. Okay, so for those who have transcended the viewpoint of free AC, you would have walked through the contaminant model to acknowledge that there was, and always challenging you for your opinion because you are spiritual. And because of this, they form Atlantis. Okay, so Hio Savia, Sona Mere, Mahirdu, the Anima Maide. And so we're looking at the relationship of the Anunnaki and how it opposes itself by Diavu, right? So the Anunnaki themselves are not the problem. At the highest level, it would be seen and would be the acknowledgement zone, right? So I would say this. Experimentation is a very natural part of experience, but if you choose that it is not, then you don't have to. And I really do respect the universal laws. Okay, so it is and it isn't, and how are we if all is one, all right? And this is the problem. And because of this, we speak sometimes in ways that can seem pushy and without our respective zone. I would say it is quite normal as we're asleep to be within reactivity view and then acknowledge the Christ consciousness. I'll ask you first, and then we'll say this: it's me and only is, and I form myself because of what I do. So we're looking at how we accept as it is that we would, right? So I say it again. We accept as it is as we would, or accept it is as we would, right? And what this means is this: just because it is and I identify doesn't necessarily make me. And if it is that I have a moment, it's okay, that would be formulated but never seen before, and I'm only love, okay? And so it's a beautiful, beautiful recognition that's coming through at the moment at level 3. And we're looking at the field effect and how it's designing itself because of the opinion and what it's forming because of the way we word things, okay? And it's such a wonderful view. Ra are saying that they cannot believe the level that people are, and there is still temperamentality. Okay, so why is it we charge ourselves, they're saying, and why do we do? And if it is that we form, and why then are we, right? Which is a beautiful, beautiful acknowledgement. So my interpretation would be this: speak well in words, and sometimes there are none because of the way that we are telepathizing, right? And it's really beautiful. I'm sorry if my voice is going off. I'm still going through this. It's called a restrictive view of a ZyAne, and because I was a professional DJ and I was a radio presenter, they went for my voice because I'm a teacher, and that was a test for those who understood me well, knowing it was simply a clearing, and if they themselves could push through, then they themselves were free by that viewpoint. It means you'll never have to experience it because you had faith and trust in me. And there are all these lessons playing out in many ways. Some lose their sight, some lose their personality. They come across completely differently. I myself am speaking well because I always have, and I would call it my average self, which was always perfect, in the Cockney review or in the Essex review was due to the fact I spent so much time with my mother and father, and I was living at home, and that's how we all spoke of each other. We were very laid back. It's still there, but I prefer to form well. It's higher frequency for me, okay? So this is why it's happening, and because of this, they're identifying the view charge at level 3. So some of you may feel that you are a bit of a chameleon. You'll be hanging out with people, and you'll naturally adapt to their way of doing things. Does it necessarily mean you're copying? I would say absolutely no. It simply is. You yawn, I yawn, and we empathize with each other because we're tired, right? I recognize that I myself am, therefore I don't exist because of you, and it's always in potential format. How is it then that we become when we are moving? Okay, so movement itself as the ultimate form, but the identity is stagnation and require me well, and I would be. Okay, so physicality itself could or would as the potential flaw in design, and we would acknowledge nothing because it itself is forming and never was because of the way we grow. Okay, so we get older, we get younger, and we look better with makeup on, for example. How are we forming ourselves because of the identity of what stood before you, us, and many, and see ourselves always conforming because of the equilateral triangle, okay? And so my view is this, and personally, I feel the equilateral triangle is extremely dangerous because of the reflective light zone, and what it does is it decides for you how it will be without your permission, and if it is, we acknowledge the universal laws, we would say this, everyone has the right to choose wise and well, okay? And that would be your free will elements, and as an individuation of anything as the accomplishment zone is saying, you are required to acknowledge me. All right, so it itself is forming and is there to show you how it is to live better by your own design, that you chose it first and you feel comfortable and happy there because people understand you and you can have a conversation without offending. If it is you offend, excuse me, maybe it is yourself, and he's trying to get in again, maybe it's yourself, because excuse me, I'm just talking to my guides at the moment. I'm acknowledging what it means to be free whilst saying there is none, and all would flow through, except it doesn't, because it's clinging to an identity, which could be any. And I'm looking again at the concept of power because I say yes to everything and it's completely okay, which I don't agree with. What they've done is try to run a sphere, it's a sphere review by identity light and acknowledgement through Ulysees, and then use Ulysees to form KIOSEASE's review and then take advantage of every particulate. And it's coming up through people that are working through the seam at the level that we know it, and we'd say this, challenging by identity formality view, and the blue oxen is basically containing light forms that don't recognize me as a sovereign being, even though I myself am on my own personal journey. And so each is required to return to themselves and choose wise and well and acknowledge that there are many and things are occurring and they just are, and then to consider nothingness as the ultimate result of our identity view. And so I'm still looking because of the Rishi Sun. So I'm working through the Rishi solar galaxy. So it's the Rishi star review. It's Galaxy 9, System 3, and the ultimate review that Marsy's would, right? And because of this, twin is formed, but never in the identity because it's one, and separate, but never is because it's only, right? So it's only owing, that's it. So there is one, and then a template review, and then designed by free of file that would require me to acknowledge it, and then reverse the light so that I'm seen as non-authentic, but is in someone else's ID that's reforming, and there are many, it's about 4.5 million that are trying to basically compete with my personal review and make me out to be a philanderer of truth, a charlatan, and apparently a sex goddess. And I'm getting really bloody pissed off with this because I know myself to be within the tomboy zone and has always been, and we damn well know it's different, except the appearances that we would, and see myself before me. So we're talking about the rhesus negative B, which is actually supportive of all life and protective of it too. Therefore, I would not receive protection at all to create it from scratch by their review, and they identify to form me. And this is what we're talking about. Thank you very much. And there's another realization. Goodness me. I'm always being tested. They turn up out of nowhere. They ask for my opinion. They watch me. And they decide whether or not I've achieved in the teacher review, because that's what I came here to be. And it's really difficult because with spherical light, they try to make out that they're better than you and acknowledge nothing, but they can't form. So they always try to come in as an ambulance service and make out that you yourself are mentally ill. And it's a horrible, horrible thing for a human being that knows it's damn well innocent. And I have to say this. I think that whatever you're doing is absolutely disgusting. And I know there's a group of you, he's saying, and you call yourself the Parasite Sons, and you really need to consider that celebrity is not everything. All right, and there are 3 females participating in the review, and they will go shortly because of Ra, and Ra is right. And I'm really proud to bring this forward for those who are ready to receive it. And that's not to be pedantic in the review, because you will know, and you already have, and you've already accomplished, because you've been walking time fields similar to me and seeing what happens when we declare energy as obsolete and it was forming, and would show you what lies before. And isn't it very scary and extremely intelligent? I'm going to stop here because I'm forming with Ra and they're moving through. They're very, very happy, but they don't want a repercussive reader state where people take things to the personality view to dissolve view light and then oppose the opinion because there is a war going on. He's saying this: I know what you're doing, and it needs to stop now. And I'm talking to the ones who are doing it on purpose, and you know you are. It's about time that you stop throwing mud and start acknowledging that there are many ways to what you class as freedom. Here endeth the lesson, he's saying, and I'm sending you so much love. Ra is out. Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to go now because they're coming in very, very intensely. I can feel my body just forming and going crazy. And at the same time, I'm trying to run this eclectic view of Sphere Alliance because Corey Good was profoundly cool and apparently profoundly stupid, which means he's extremely clever, because the word stupid itself is forming, which would say this: how the hell do we know what anyone's talking about? Therefore, shut up and dance. Yeah, and isn't it ridiculously cool? I love you, Corey Good. That is not an attempt on your personality. I think you're bloody wonderful. And David Wilcock as well. You may or may not get this, but if you do, I love you so much. And I'm so grateful for your teachings, and David too. And I'm just sending you so much love. All right, take care for now. I can't believe my voice has gone for about 20 million degrees of fire tone. It's terrible. Take care, everybody. Just keep breathing. Return to yourself. Stabilize and just acknowledge. All right. Bye-bye.